Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about the functionality of our rib cage so that your brain can start to visualize what's happening inside of your body. So your ribs move in different ways depending on where they are in your body. These bottom two ribs, they're your floating ribs, and they basically just come out and in, out and in. That's really all they do. And now, obviously, ribs don't have that much motion. They're not moving that much when you're breathing, but that's just a demonstration of what those bottom ribs are doing. Depending on your level of palpation skills, you might be able to feel that motion. If you kind of come to the bottom of your rib cage, just like so, right like this is the bottom of my rib cage. So those floating ribs are sitting right about there. And if you don't press, but just touch, take a deep breath, you might be able to feel that motion. You might not. But while you're holding that area on your body, what I want you to think about and take notice of is as you're breathing in and as you're breathing out, are those ribs moving equally from the left side to the right side? Do you have the same amount of motion? Are they coming in and out at the same speed, at the same pace? Or is one coming in and out farther than the other or faster than the other? Right? Your next set of ribs is kind of this chunk up here. And if you think about an ice cream pail or a 5-gallon bucket, and the handle, here's the rim, here's the bucket, and the handle sits kind of on the side, right? With that shape, that sort of handle shape. And then it comes out and up and down and in. So that's kind of what these ribs do here. Now, if you're going to do an assessment on these ribs, flat hands is kind of nice. And you can come farther towards the front. It totally depends what you're comfortable with. If moving your shoulders back this far doesn't work for you, then come more to the front of your body. That's not totally fine. I just personally find it easier to feel the movement on the side of the body. It is also harder not to press in when you're on the side of the body. So we're looking for that bucket handle motion. Oops, sorry guys. Breathing in, breathing out. And see, I can feel this side of my rib cage moves better than this side does, which is not surprising because I know I have an issue in the ribs on the back on my left side, and that will always translate all the way around and into the front because those ribs don't have, like they're a solid massive bone. The last one that we're going to check is, we're going to check these ribs up here. Now, here's your collarbone right here. These are the two ends of the collarbone and they come down to the sternum here. And underneath your collarbone is a rib. So your ribs come higher than just chest height. So you want to come kind of right up here. It might be easier for you to cross your hands, it might not. And this motion is sort of just like this. They're coming forward and up. So again, just light, light, light pressure. Breathe in and breathe out. And again, I can feel on this side for myself that it moves not quite as smoothly as it does on this side. So after you've done that assessment, now you have a good idea of where you might have some restriction or some problems with the way that your rib cage is functioning. And if your rib cage isn't expanding and contracting properly, your lungs underneath it cannot fully expand and contract either. So if you have an area in your rib cage that you are noticing a difference from one side to the other, your first clue for which side is the problematic side is, do you have pain on one side versus the other? So like I said, I know I have an issue on my left side with the ribs. It usually presents for myself as pain back here, but I can actually get pain coming all the way around, or even just kind of stabbing through my body. So for me, I know there's a good chance that the problem area in my body is the left side because I already have an issue on that side. Now, if you don't have pain to guide you, it's not the end of the world. You can breathe into both sides of your lungs, and I'll tell you how to do that in a minute. And just doing that breath work into both sides is going to help, it's going to give your lungs that chance and your ribcage the chance to kind of reset, if you will. And if one or the other changes, then we kind of have a better idea of which side it was. Honestly, it's not that big of a deal to know for sure which side. If they're moving differently one from the other and you don't know, you just treat both. And treating them for yourself in the purpose of the breathwork class is really easy. So what we found on myself was this chunk of ribs on my left side. So I'm just going to put 2 hands on this side just to give me a little bit more proprioceptive input. So input into my brain from what I'm feeling. It might help you also to add some visual input. You could do this in front of a mirror, but you totally don't have to. So what I'm going to do when I breathe in next is I'm going to concentrate on pulling all of the air in my lungs into this area underneath my hands, okay? Now, obviously you can still see the rest of my lungs are expanding. You can't force them to not expand. You're still going to be breathing into all of your lungs. That's just how your body works. But if you are concentrating with your brain on the area that has the issue, and if you have the proprioceptive input of your hands, your brain is going to notice the problem more readily, and it's going to work on fixing it. Your body wants to heal itself. It's really, really smart. Sometimes we just have to be the hands that say, hey, look, there's a problem over here. So we're also going to come up to my top left because that was also an issue, and breathe in. And I don't know if you can see it or if I can see it even. I'll do it with my eyes open. You can see that the shoulder, it doesn't come up the same way as this one does. Now that's partially because my shoulders are just in a different position from holding my hands over on the left side of my body compared to my right. But there's also just restriction in there.